One of the things that I find interesting is that when you're dealing with black men who talk about black issues, is that the real test of their character is whether they speak out against white women. Because oftentimes, your average black male who talks about pro blackness and other issues, the first thing that they do is they give a white woman a free pass. And this often works to their detriment in the future. And this is really the litmus test. I really look at it as a litmus test for whether a man is truly about pro-blackness is his views on white women. And the reason why I don't give white women a free pass is because I feel that they are just as culpable and just as accountable for white supremacy as the so-called white man is. Because you'll hear what these guys talk about, you know, white man this, white man that, but they never say a single word about this white woman. And again, that's the litmus test for whether somebody is really serious about pro-blackness, is that they will start saying things about this white woman, and they will understand how destructive her participation is in the destruction of black people. And white women in America, she's often been given a free pass by most of these so-called black activists, black leaders, and even black men on the street. But again, she is the deadliest predator because she comes in on stealth mode, and she comes in underground. She comes in on stealth mode, and she does her damage underground. The reason why I'm saying this is because many people will say that the black woman is a transmitter of culture, and she is responsible for the transmission of the dysfunctional culture in black America right now. But to counter that argument, I'm going to say this, you know, and again, I'm going to say this: the white woman is the transmitter of culture, and she transmits the culture of white supremacy. But yet, many black men give her a free pass and are so eager to have a relationship with her, they don't understand that she transmits the culture of white supremacy when men have children with her. And as she goes, America goes. Because you often hear people say, as the black woman goes, so goes the race. Well, as the white woman goes, so goes America. And she has been promoting white supremacy since the inception of this country, and even way back when she was in Europe, getting ready to go on the boat to come here to America. She's been the one promoting white supremacy, and she's the one teaching the culture of white supremacy. But yet, many black activists, black leaders, many black people give this white woman a free pass. And the reason why they give her a free pass is because white supremacy promotes her as the ideal of what a woman should be and the woman they should have. And because they promote her as this ideal, these black leaders and these black men covet this white woman, thinking that she is some great prize. When in actuality, she is not a prize at all. She has no value whatsoever, and she will undermine any political cause. And any man who covets this white woman winds up undermining himself and undermining his own cause, and he winds up losing everything he tried to work for. He winds up working against himself. And because he covets this white woman, he winds up his own worst enemy. And this is something that a lot of black men don't think about. They'll sit there, you'll hear them talking about white man this, white man that. But they never look at this white woman, and they don't see how destructive she is and how she transmits this culture of white supremacy. And she's always transmitted this culture of white supremacy. And if you look at it, if she's the teacher of children, what are the children learning? Right there, white supremacy. Where did the white man get his so-called white supremacy? Where did he get these ideas? Where did he get those views? He didn't get them from his father, because he wasn't with his father. He was with his mother. And his mother taught him those ideas. This is the culture that is transmitted, and this is how it is transmitted. But most black men, this goes over their head because they're not critical thinkers, and they're not long-term thinkers, and they're not logical thinkers. They're emotional thinkers who look at what they see, and what they see is this white man, so-called white man, oppressing them, but they don't look at who taught him that ideology, who taught him that culture, who taught him that way of thinking. And he learned that from his mother. He learned that from that white woman. That so-called white woman he covets and wants and desires is the same woman teaching him the white supremacy, teaching that white man white supremacy. And these days, teaching him white feminism. And this is what they're being taught. This is the culture that's been transmitted. And this is something many black men, they give white women this free pass to continue teaching this culture. They'll go out here and they'll fight. They'll say, I'm fighting white supremacy. I'm fighting for this. I'm fighting for this. Affirmative action. I'm fighting for civil rights. But you really have to look, and I'm fighting this evil white man, this Bull Connor type dude, or this other type guy. But they overlook the white women. They overlook the Gloria Steinems. They even overlook regular white women. They just overlook them all. And this allows white supremacy to continue being permeated through the culture as a social norm. But most black men can't think that far ahead. And this is why things are so backwards right now. Because you can't say you're fighting for one and not fighting the other. And you have to understand this is a two-pronged assault, on the mind of a black man. And you have to understand that you have to cut off the transmission of culture to end white supremacy. And this is why white supremacy hates the idea of a strong black family. They don't like the idea of a black man and a black woman coming together, and they make every effort to keep black men and black women separate. This is what the feminist movement was all about. It was about separating the black man from the black woman through this gender war so that they could control the black economy and then also further control the transmission of culture to black people. And when the feminists got involved, the transmission of culture went from black pride and black empowerment to white supremacy. And that's what we saw that's what we've seen in the last 40 years in these single mother households and in most parts of the black community over the last 40 years. This is what we've seen. We no longer see pro-black, really true pro-blackness, which is a black man showing love for a black woman, a black man showing caring for a black woman. We see white supremacy. And in the last 10, 15 years, we've seen not only the black men promoting this idea of white supremacy, we're now seeing the black women promoting the idea of white supremacy. This is why we have these shows like Scandal coming on. We have these sci-fi shows with all these black females with this white man, and we have all of these other constructs out here, because it's all white supremacy. It's all the white man is superior, the white man is better. He is the one ideal you need to be like. He's the man you need to be with. Again. And this is something that black men have given a pass to, because they've bought into the idea that this white woman is superior and prettier and better. And I'm here to say she's none of those things. This white woman, again, she's a stealth, covert agent, like Gloria Steinem was back in the 60s. This covert agent came in undercover, and the covert agents do more damage long term. That's what a covert agent does. They do long term damage. They look like they pretend to be a friend, they pretend to have your back, but at the end of the day, they're the ones undermining you and doing sabotage. And that's what the feminist movement was all about. It was about sabotaging the black economy and sabotaging the black family. And this type of damage is something that a lot of black men, they'll still blaming the white man part for white supremacy, but they don't look at the white woman's part for white supremacy. And again, this is the litmus test for whether a pro-black activist, any pro-black activist, or any pro-black person, or person who promotes black ideals and black culture is, I say, truly legitimate, is whether they give this white woman a free pass or do they hold her just as accountable. And as a man who publishes positive fiction for the African American experience, I can't give the white woman a free pass, and I never have given her a free pass. In one of my books, all about Maryland, the screenplay I show you the images of white women and how they are not acting in the black woman's best interest, and how they make efforts to undermine the black woman at every turn, and how the perpetuation of the image of the white woman is truly false, because we think this black woman is, well, not black woman, excuse me, I'm sorry, this white woman is so beautiful and so pretty, but in the screenplay I show that she's really just a drug addicted mental case, because the woman that, there's one of the characters, her name is Tabitha, she's supposed to be a superstar, but I show behind the scenes that the superstar that's on the cover of all these magazines, that's supposed to be this pretty blonde ideal, she's nothing more than a meth head mental case. And we believe that this white woman is this perfect image of womanhood, but that's white supremacy. And this is an image that many black men have bought into, especially a lot of these pro-black, back to Afrocentric, back to African Negroes. They have bought into this. And they all curse out a white man, but they still secretly covet this white woman. Not understanding she needs to be held accountable just as well, because she is, and that she needs to be watched more carefully than this white man. She needs to be watched more carefully because she is the one teaching this culture not only to her children, but your children as well. Because if she is a teacher in your public school, guess which culture they're learning? They're not learning pro-blackness. They're learning white supremacy. This is why you need to watch out for her. Again, covert agent. And you can see it throughout society. And I go into, I've written blogs about this. I've also done I'm going to do more videos on it because I really want black men to understand the danger of the white woman. And we have constantly, black men have constantly given her this free pass, and it has been to our detriment. If we are really serious about getting our community right, we cannot just talk about fighting white supremacy through white men. We also have to talk about dealing with this white woman. And that's one of the things I try to do in a lot of my writing and a lot of my books. When I do positive stories, I often show you the other side of this. Also, I also put it in the All About Nikki screenplay book. I also talk about, how this white woman is as a child, as a teenager. I show white female characters for what they truly are, and we never get to see that side of it, because if we look at most American media, it is really, especially on a lot of these television networks, it's really feminist, and white supremacist, and they often put the white woman in a positive light, but we really need to see the truth about this white woman, and black men really need to start seeing the truth about this white woman and how dangerous she is, because, again, she's a covert agent. She comes in undercover, and she starts transmitting this culture of white supremacy to your child and to yourself, and she transmits it to her own child. And her goal is to undermine anything that is truly pro-black and about black empowerment and black rights. And it's something that we give a free pass to, and we really need to start taking a look at it. And again, this is a true litmus test, if you are, for black people, is, are you going to give this white woman a free pass? And this is something many black men do, and they do it unconsciously, and they don't really think about it. And they really need to start thinking about it, because when you give white women free passes for bad behavior, you pretty much are helping white supremacy continue to go along. And that's dangerous to black people, and that's dangerous if you say you're really for black rights. You're going to hold both white men and white women accountable for their behaviors. You're going to point out the behaviors that they participate in that destroy black people. You're going to just point out the ideologies that they have that undermine black people. Because everything we talk about, because we look at the white man as having the economic power, but we really have to look at the transmission of culture. If you cut off the transmission of culture, then you have done more damage than going after anything else. You can go after the economics. I say go after the economics, start the group economics, but you really have to start undermining the transmission of culture, because this is the culture that was taught to not only white men, but it was also taught to black women. This white supremacy was taught to black women back in the slave days. It was taught to black men as a norm. This was the culture that was transmitted. It was transmitted through the white woman and then sent through the black. It was transmitted through the white woman to the white man, to the black woman, and then eventually at the end to the black man. And all most black men see is the white man as the end result, but they need to go further down the line and see where the culture is really being transmitted. And as the white woman goes, so goes America. I mean, because everybody says as the black woman goes, so goes the race. No, I say go even further. As the white woman goes, so goes America. And you really have to look at this white woman, and you really have to look at her as the one transmitting the culture that is poisonous, because it was her learning this, her promoting this feminist culture that really is undermining America. And where did the black woman get the feminism from? The white woman. Where did the white man get white supremacy from? The white woman. Again, and nobody will come out and say these things because they'll be afraid of being called misogynist. They're afraid of being called sexist. But this is how things go. I mean, if the black woman is the transmitter of culture in America, then what is the white woman? Again, what is the white woman? She is a transmitter of culture of white supremacy and racism. This is what she teaches her children, consciously and unconsciously. But no one will ever make that statement out of fear of reprisal. Most of these black activists won't make it because they have too much to lose, because they don't want to wind up offending constituents and black and business people. They don't want to lose that money. So they're not going to speak out against this white woman. They're not going to say a word against her. They're not going to call out the feminist movement's constant racism, constant sexism, and how so-called sexism, but they're not going to call that stuff out. They're not going to call out any of the things that they have done and how they've exploited affirmative action and used it for their own personal piggy bank. And nobody's going to say a word about any of this stuff. And many of the pro-black people, they haven't even spoke out against this white woman. They've pretty much given her a free pass. And they don't want to speak out against her because, again, some of these guys actually want to get with this white woman. And again, this is a litmus test of whether somebody is serious about building up and supporting black people is, will they speak out against this white woman? Will they say that she is just as accountable as this white man, or even more so accountable, because she transmits the culture that promotes white supremacy in society? And this is a video I just wanted to make because it's something I was thinking about, because people always say, because I was watching the David Carroll video where he talked about why white women are better than black women, and it made me think about the whole transmission of culture thing. And when I look at the transmission of culture, and I looked at it and I said, if one side is the same, both sides have to be the same, and we really have to look at it as what culture is being transmitted to white people, and this is how they learned it. And I said this in a comment on another video a while back. This is where they learned it, and a lot of people, some people wanted to argue about it, but this is what, if you follow logic, if one set of logical rules applies to one group, it has to apply to the other group. And this is something most people don't think about. They don't put in perspective, and they don't even think to understand it. They just think, it's the white man. Well, you have to think about where the white man learned these concepts, and you have to understand he didn't just get that. He just didn't get the "I hate niggers" from his father. He also got it from his mother. She was the one who reinforced it. She was the one who taught this culture to him, and she is the one, sadly, many black men give a free pass to. So that's why I say you can't give them a free pass, and this is the litmus test. This is how we see if this guy is for real. And a lot of times, many black men fail that test because they believe the white supremacist ideology that the white woman is the most beautiful woman in the world, and this is a lie in and of itself. And you have to stop buying into these Madison Avenue and Hollywood lies, and you have to start seeing things for what they truly are. And I truly do see it for what it truly is. And I'm hoping that more black people will start waking up and start looking at the white woman a little bit, examine her a little bit more closely, because she's the one transmitting this culture. And while we're looking at white men, she's getting away with a free pass. That's all I have to say for this video. Comment, rate, and subscribe.